Hi folks, in today's painting tutorial, I'll be focusing on the face of this combat wheelchair fighter in this video sponsored by Heroforge. This is the premium plastic mini, and I've gone ahead and primed it so that we're all set to paint. So I'm going to start off by painting the face. With this, I'm using Idrian Flesh from P3. I really like this color for doing anybody who has a deeper skin tone. It works really well to layer over other colors or to lay down the base. It just has a really good dynamic color to it. So now that we've based in the color of the face, we're going to move on to the eyes. So I'm taking a super detailed brush, and with Sotek Green I am painting in almost a line to give the iris of the eye. So there you can see that first eye, and now I'll do the second one. And I'm not worrying about getting it on like the cheek area or stuff like that, because I'll go back and clean that up in a moment. So now with, again, that super fine brush, I'm going to use black to just ever so slightly dot in the pupil. Now, one thing when you're painting in eyes, try to paint your eyes ever so slightly cross-eyed. That will actually make it look like they are focusing something. If you paint them squarely in the center of the eye, you're going to end up with something that looks kind of googly-eyed. Alright, so now that we have let that dry, I'm coming back in with that super fine brush and Idrian Flesh to clean up the lips, as well as I will essentially paint on the eyelids. So I'm going to clean up the eye area, anything that's spread over, as well as really shape out the eye here. Taking my time because I don't want to mess up and ruin the eye, and I am bracing my hands on each other to minimize any shake. I have a slight shake when I'm trying to paint minis, and I found that kind of keeps my hand from shaking. It provides a little bit of stability. So whether you're bracing your hand on another hand on part of the mini, or if you have a mini holder that has a place you can rest it. Alright, so now I'm coming in with Idrian Flesh and Beige Red to add in some highlights. So I'm going to really focus on the high points of the face. So the tops of the ears. I'm also doing like the kind of inside bottom, top of the nose, the forehead, cheeks, down on the chin. I'm leaving kind of the hollows of the cheeks. So like right below the cheekbones. I can't remember what it's called. If you do makeup, this is where you would put the contrast. So I'm leaving that part to help kind of give that very nice high cheekbone look. And then I'm going back in and doing another layer of this. Again, really focusing like just on the cheekbones, just on the tip of the nose, a little bit on the chin to accentuate those features even more. And you can see kind of where I haven't gone quite as close to like the eyes and stuff like that. That's actually helping to provide a little bit of contrast, a little bit of lining. So yeah, I'm just kind of wet blending, adding a little bit more beige red to the Idrian Flesh to build up the color here. Before we get into the rest of the painting, let's thank today's sponsor, Heroforge. On Heroforge, you can build your own custom miniatures and have them 3D printed and sent to you. They have thousands of parts to choose from and are constantly adding new stuff each week. I have really enjoyed a lot of the various hair options that they have added, really providing a wide diversity of options that you can choose from. They recently also added these combat wheelchairs in a couple of different versions. Here is the fantasy one, and banners, which I think are really cool. Great thing to have your mini riding into battle banner flowing out behind them. Also, they added a wide variety of side items. You can really get creative with these. Want to have a crescent sword? Great. Want to have a machine gun? Yeah. And once you've found the piece that you like, you can always go into the advanced builder and make adjustments to get the mini exactly how you pictured it. So head on over to Heroforge and start building your custom miniature today. Alright, so now that we have all of the skin painted, I am going to go in and start painting the clothing on this. And I thought orange would be a fun color on this one. So I'm going in and basing it with Jokaero Orange. Jokaero. And I am really starting on this mini to paint kind of inside out. So I'm painting this padded area first, and then I'll move on to some of the wheelchair. So to add a little bit more dimension, I'm coming in with Agrax Earthshade, just letting that kind of pool down in the recesses. I find on fabrics that have a bit of texture, or anything that has some of these crevices, adding in a shade is really going to very quickly give dimension to this without a ton of steps. And before I'm actually adding in the highlight to that, I'm going to come in with Ironbreaker and paint parts of this wheelchair. So I'm focusing on the parts that are really kind of touching on this orange bit, so that I'm not going to have to worry about when I'm going back and doing all of the detail highlight stuff. If my brush slips or anything, I can go back and fix that in the base and shade coat without having to like redo that section of the mini or having the paint not quite match. So now that that's in, I'm going in with Tau Light Ochre that I watered down and just highlighting, and I'm focusing kind of where I think the light is hitting. So on this section, kind of being mindful of, okay, it's probably going to actually hit the bottom section of those padded, and then on the arms, focusing on the top. And this does look a lot more saturated when it's wet, but it will dry down a little less saturated. Now I'm going in with a Apothecary White, which is a Citadel contrast, to paint in the white over part. I also will use this to paint the white of the banner, and then I'm going to use some more contrasts on the rest of the banner, just kind of doing, I like the contrast paint because it kind of skips a couple of steps here and there. So there you can see I used Wyldwood for the staff, Snakebite leather for the fur, skeleton horde for the bone bits, and for the hair I used black Templar. Alright, so now let's get this trim. I'm going in with a fine detail brush and Sotek Green to paint this trim, and I'm holding my brush and following the line of this trim. I find that kind of following the lines is going to give you much cleaner lines. How many times can I say line? It's just going to make it a lot easier to follow and get those clean lines. And to bring a little bit more dimension, I'm going in with Ahriman Blue that I've mixed in with some white. I didn't do shade on this trim just because it is such a small area. And the final bits of clothing are the belt and the boots, and to do that, I'll base it in with Kantor Blue. Again, using a little bit finer of a brush so that I am being very precise on where it's going. I'm not messing up anything that I've already done. So I'm going to use Drakenhof Nightshade on these feathers on this banner to bring out a little bit of dimension. And I'll also use this on the belt and the boots just to add a little bit of that shade, deepen them up just a bit. Alright, and to get the feather look, I'm using Ahriman Blue, and again, that super fine detail brush. And I am drawing these very short, small lines. This is a similar technique that I used on the sweater, kind of this V effect, But this time I am focusing much more on where the feathers is, as well as paying attention to, there are a number of feathers here that overlap. So for example, this one right here, you only are going to see kind of part of the feather, and then it gets covered up by the other one. And the final step for the clothes is going to be to add a little bit of highlight to this blue leather with Teclis Blue. So I'm just painting in, and I've watered down this Teclis Blue as well, kind of a milk-like consistency. So I'll go through and paint in all of the metals. That's all just painting it in. So here is the finished miniature. I hope you found this video helpful. It gives you some guidance on how to paint faces. I'd love to hear about some of the miniatures you've made with Heroforge, or if you have a different method for painting faces, let me know how you go about it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Again, a big thanks to Heroforge for sponsoring this video, and we'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye!